pre-Islamic Somalia had some folklore of its own, and one of these folk tales had to do with the cannibal named Degder. Something I've noticed is that this tale that was meant for children and probably for adults in some cases was very or is very similar to some stories that I've heard around Africa, and we shall compare them now between this pre-Islamic Somalian tale, Afroasiatic, and this Bantu tale, and see if they are similar enough to draw a conclusion that they come from a core culture, or is it merely a coincidence?
Once upon a time, a fierce cannibal named Dagder roamed the Hargega Valley in Somalia. Her horrific ways cursed the land once green and lush, turning it into a desert, a crumbling dust. The animals grew thin, and the rain went away for a very long time.
Now, the Zulu version. Uzembeni was a great woman. She had two daughters, but she devoured the men of the country where she lived until she had destroyed them all. She ate men and game. She killed man together with deer and boiled the flesh of man and the flesh of deer together. It came to pass that when men were utterly consumed, there were left herself and her two daughters. Her daughters were celebrating amongst the tribes on account of their beauty. One of her daughters, it happened to be, cause there were no more men, she having destroyed them, she caught and tore off her cheek on her side and boiled it and ate it. It was bitter. She no longer wished to eat her up because her flesh annoyed her by its bitterness.
Dagder was as strong and swift as the wind. She had an unusually long, pointy ear, with the strange power to hear even the gait of camels a half day's journey away. One morning, Dagder set out on her daily hunt for her next meal. She rummaged anxiously through the steep hills, a hatchet in her hand, and an empty sack on her back to bring home her finds. I shall come upon a young woman weaving mats under a thorn tree, she told herself. But throughout the dusty roads, Dagder found no prey. Hungry and frustrated, she went home.
There came a young man, the child of a king. The name of the youth was Uskulumi. He came to select a pretty girl from those girls. He came by day when Uzembeni was not there, she having gone to hunt. Another of her names is Longtoe, for her toe was very long. It was that by which she was recognized. As she was coming in sight, the dust being raised, and before she appeared, the dust appeared, being raised by her toe, for it came first to the place where Longtoe was going. So when Iskulumi arrived, he found indeed the two damsels. He saw that truly they were beautiful. He loved them, and they loved him also, for he was the king's son and good looking. But they wept many tears on his account, saying, "You have come nowhere by coming here. We are troubled. We do not know where we can put you, for our mother eats men, and as for us, you see us in nothing but trouble." One of them said, "Just look at my cheek. It is my very mother. We do not know where we shall put you."
Dagder vowed to never return home empty handed again. I will use my special powers to trap lonely travels, decided the Dare. Don't tired souls need some water and a moment's rest? I shall be lucky. Gather up some wood, grass, and lots of sticks, she ordered her only daughter. That's Dagdare's daughter. Hal gabaray lahayd Dagdare. Then she lashed the grasses, wood, and sticks together, building a row of fake huts next to her old dwelling. After that, she ordered Bauder Marakta. Bauder, a large vessel in which she stored human flesh, to whistle if anyone touched it. I shall hear you wherever I might be, she said. Exhausted, Dagdare drifted off to sleep, still hungry. That evening, along the dirt road near Dagdare's home, came a grieving widow with a chubby child on her back. The woman was determined not to rest until she returned to her family's home, but she and her child were hungry and tired. They were thrilled to come upon the huts. Please give us some water so you might someday be spared of thirst, the woman asked in the traditional way. Dagdare's daughter quickly responded to the woman. Here, drink this, she said, handing the woman a cup. I will find you something to eat, but I must warn you, my mother's Dagdare. I fear she will harm you if she awakens, whispered Dagdare's daughter. You must hide until she leaves for hunting tomorrow, then get away fast. Trampling, the woman and her child hid inside a rolled grass mat lying behind a hut. Dagdare's daughter tried to sneak them a piece of dried meat. As she did so, she bummed the lid of Bauder. A piercing whistle broke through the calm night. Ooh, ooh.
To return, Usikulumi came to the damsel alone. He left home with a pack of dogs, but he left them in a bed of reeds. The girls devised a plan, saying, if we tell him to depart, Longtoe will pursue him. They dug a pit in the house and put him in and again covered it up and sat over it.
Dagdare leaped out of her sleep. Oh, my Allah! Who touched my vessel? I tried to find my dried goat meat inside the clay jar, but I mistakenly bumped Dagdare. I mistakenly bumped Bauder, said Dagdare's daughter. You are lying to me, Dagdare said. She started to sniff and snuffle. Is it a fat little boy I smell? Do you smell the creases of my own mother? Asked the daughter. I smell the flesh of a young woman, Dagdare yelled, growing impatient and angry. It's my own flesh, mother, replied her daughter.
Towards sunset the dust appeared. They said, lo, she is now coming. The toe came first, she came after it. As soon as she came, she laughed to herself. She laughed and rolled herself on the ground, saying, eh, eh, in my house here today there is a delicious odor. My children, what have you done? Whence comes this odor? She entered the house. She laughed to herself, patting them and saying, my children, what is there here in the house? The girls said, away, don't bother us. We do not know where we could get anything. She said, just let me look for myself, my children. They said, we don't know even what you want to find, for there is just nothing here. She said, just move then, that I may seek for myself. They said, we will not get up. We know of nothing for our part. Just do as you will. We do not know what you will do to us, since you have already injured us, and we are now as we are. She said this, pointing to her cheek, which she had eaten. She gave up and went to sleep.
madly Dagder sniffling through each hut. Under the mat, the woman and her child heard the shouting and the sniffing. They knew they would soon be discovered. Dagder's daughter ran to the edge of their mat and whispered, "Run! Run!"
In the morning she went out to hunt. As soon as she was gone, they saw the dust cease, she having gone over the hill. They took out Iskulumi. One said, "Let us go." The other said, "Oh, child of my child, do you go. I cannot go with you to be a disgrace to you in his presence. You see how I am. My mother injured me. Do you go alone? I shall stay, that Longtoe may make an end of me." So she went with Iskulumi. They traveled till the sun set. He went by the way of the bed of reeds to fetch his dogs. He took them, and they went with him. At length it became dark. In the morning they were still journeying. They traveled in fear, saying, "If we sleep, she will come up with us. Let us go day and night until the morning. Perhaps we shall leave her behind."
The woman stood with the child on her back, trembling with fear. She could hardly move. She yelled upon Allah, "May we be spared from the troubles of Dagder." With her prayers came the courage to run. She knew Dagder could run as swiftly as the wind. Dagder will eat us alive, for no one can outrun Dagder, thought the woman. But she kept running and she kept praying. Faster and faster she ran until she came to the edge of the Hargega Valley. "An enemy is after us. Make way for us to escape," she cried to the valley. The valley spoke, "If you are free of sin, I will allow you to cross. If not, I will eat you up." Because of their innocence, the woman and her child crossed the valley safely.
Longtoe came home. She found one daughter only. Without hesitation, she went forward, saying, "Where has my child gone?" She went until the morning. At noon, Uskulumi and the damsel saw the dust. She said to Uskulumi, "Behold, Longtoe, that is she yonder. She has now come up with us. Where can we go?" And they saw a lofty yellow wood tree. They ran and climbed into it. The dogs remained at its foot.
Dagder stood on the edge of the valley, staring at the women and the flesh of the little boy far on the other side. Restless and crying, she chanted her mournful song. "O Hargega Valley, it traps the wings of one flying. It closes the way of a fast-running man. Look at the plumpness of the woman. Look at the little boy she's carrying." Then she made a desperate request of the valley. "Make way for me too, for I'm after a chubby child and a woman who have tantalized my appetite. If you are free of sin, I will allow you to cross. If not, I will eat you up," responded the valley. Dagdara attempted to cross, but as soon as she set foot at the edge, her flood of sins filled the valley, and she was swallowed up.
Longtoe came. She was a very powerful woman. She came with her axe. She looked up and saw them. Without hesitation, she applied her axe to the tree, and when she was now hoeing the tree with all her might, the dogs bit her. She cut it with might, and then and when the tree was heard to crack, it now breaking, the dogs seized her firmly. One tore off her head, another her arm, others tore off her limbs and took them away to a distance. Others dragged away her intestines. The tree grew immediately and resumed its original condition. Uzembeni came to life again. All her limbs came together. She rose up and took her axe and hewed the tree with might, and when the tree was hard to crack, the dogs again tore off her head and limbs, and each went with one to the river to a rock. All did the same. They took large pebbles and ground her limbs to powder. Whereupon Uskulumi and the damsel descended from the tree and ran away to Uskulumi's people. The dogs cast Uzembe's flesh when ground to powder into the water, and then they followed Uskulumi. So Uzembeni died, and Uskulumi came home to his people. They made a funeral lamentation. Then they killed oxen and rejoiced greatly, saying, "This is a beautiful damsel. Where did you get her? We thought you were no longer in the land of the living. We thought you were dead."
At last, the rain returned to Hargaga. The thorn bushes and tall grasses grew green and lush. The animals grew plump and produced ample milk. Chanting and singing filled the air. Dagdair's dead. The land has peace.
Though these stories have some cultural differences, they seem to be the exact same story told in different ways, where there is a woman who's in charge of a home and she's got female children or a female child. The child meets a innocent person because this cannibal has decimated the region. She warns this person that, do not, why have you come here? There's nothing good that can happen in this location. And then the cannibal realizes through smell that there must be someone in here. The female has hid the person so the person doesn't realize, and then the female, the daughter, helps the person escape. But because of the speed of this cannibal, obviously of some kind of unnatural superpowers, they she's able to catch up. In the Zulu version, it's even more than a day. She's able to catch up in a matter of minutes, and in the other one, she's able to catch up. Even though the person had a head start. When they get to the area, a there's divine intervention. So in the other one, it's a valley. In the other one, it's a tree. With the dogs as well, helping to destroy the cannibal. You can see that it's almost one for one the same story. And then, of course, there's the celebration of the villages, and everything is restored back to normal. Other similarities that are there are the superficial ones, like the fact that she has long ears in the Somali version, while she's got a lot long toes in the Zulu version, and they're called by their name, long toe and long ears, because der means the one with the long ears. Secondly, this one would have been easier to miss, but if you read the Somali one again, she says she carries a hatchet. And you see in this one, the Zulu version, she's carrying an axe, which she uses to cut down the tree. There are other further similarities that are not captured in this specific story between these two people. Like, for example, how did they come to the point of having children? And the fact that they used to be beautiful themselves when they were younger, but became less attractive from consuming human flesh, or any other similarity that they could have that you will see over and over again. Some of these stories have been considered and compared with ogres and stuff like that from other countries, but these are not ogres. The reason they're called cannibals is because they are human.